Let's let him get on the record here. Dick Bresciani is on the line here in Boston, Jay. He says you guys down there in the Mets organization are relatively new to this championship baseball business, so we can understand.
I can't hear him again, Barry.
We can't. Jay Horwitz cannot hear you, and I don't know what the problem is. I'm telling you, the guy that did the message to Garcia has been resting on his laurels ever since.
You're loud and clear, but I can't hear, Boston.
Well,
cans and some string, that's what they're using.
Cans and string.
What's that?
Listen, and you guys better keep quiet, because in a minute I'm going to open my Benedict Arnold scrapbook and find your picture. Okay?
Yeah.
I heard about you and Benny.
Hey, Barry, tell Jay to give us, so we'll communicate through you. Tell Jay to give us just a general idea of what the Mets...
Jay, they asked me to ask you, what do you think is going to happen on Saturday?
Well, I think the Mets are going to win 33-1. And no.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that, Gene?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Unbelievable. That's what. No, I think it's going to be a real tight game. Typical of our Houston games. We don't play any easy games. We haven't played any easy games the whole year, and I think it's two teams very similar. They came back when they had to come back, and I think it'll be a series that go right down to the end. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 6 or 7.
Gene, are you hearing him?
Critical matchup, in your opinion, pitcher to pitcher, hitter to hitter. What's the critical part of the match?
I can't hear about Barry.
No, I'm sorry, gentlemen, but we're going to have to play another commercial and figure this out. It should have been arranged before we got on the air. It's going to be done as we unfold.
Figuring that out, Dick Bresciani, I want to get you to answer the same question while they try to figure out their telephone system there in New York, and let's hope to God that when they take the field on Saturday and
Let me bring you up to date. I have on the long line Mr. Gene Burns of WRKO in Boston, where he's heard each day from 10 until 2, Monday through Friday. Jay Horwitz, the spokesperson for the New York Mets, is on my other line. Mr. Dick Bresciani, spokesperson for the Boston Red Sox, is in Boston, and we're trying to coordinate them, and for some reason we have telephonic difficulty. Gene?
In general terms, that in years of late, the series is not as exciting a matchup as the championship games have been. Heaven knows if that's ever true. It's true given the kinds of championship cliffhangers we've had in both leagues this year. What about that? Is the series going to be a bit of a letdown in terms of the competitiveness of the game and the excitement of the game?
I don't believe so, because I think once the first ball is pitched, the true competitive nature of all of these athletes will come out, and they want to win. There's no doubt about that. I think there is a little bit of a letdown like today and maybe tomorrow after both teams have been through rugged series, and then it's a feeling, wow, we made it, we're there. So there is that little bit of a letdown, but I think once you get back into action on Saturday, that'll all be forgotten, and it's going to be head-to-head again.
Yeah. Finally, Dick, what about workouts before Saturday's game? Any scheduled? What kind of workouts are scheduled? What's the coach going to do with the team?
Well, today is very informal, and some players will come in and do some running in the afternoon, and some of the pitchers that have to throw in between games will do some throwing. But tomorrow will be the first coordinated workout down in Shea Stadium, and I believe that's at about 2 o'clock. I think the Red Sox work out, and the Mets will also be working out.
Yeah, great. Dick, thanks for joining us. We'll try to get New York's telephone system fixed. If we do, we'll get back to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, fine.
Dick Bresciani of the Red Sox talking to us about the game. New York, our New York colleagues are having a little problem with their phone system. They're trying to resolve that. We'll continue with more conversation. In any event, we're about to open the telephone lines and let you have at it. We hope that'll be with our audience in New York and here in Boston as we hook up the Gene Burns program on WRKO and the Barry Gray program on WMCA in New York.
Gene, I'm here.
Sports in advance of the opening game of the 1986 World Series.
Okay, we're on WMCA. We'll get it all together in a couple of minutes. And it's 26 minutes after noon in New York. It's a 50-degree day, and let's do this. And in Boston, I have Gene Burns of WRKO in Boston, Dick Bresciani, spokesperson for the Boston Red Sox, and hopefully in a couple of minutes we'll have Jay Horwitz, spokesman for the New York Mets. Do I have Gene Burns on the line?
Charm showcases full of earrings.
Gene, are you there?
And because we're a discount wholesale outlet.
Gene? Gene Burns is not there. And we're on WMCA, and we'll continue to keep trying. And, fellas, I want to thank you a lot. You're really doing a first-rate job. Okay. Hello, you're live on WMCA.
Hello, Barry.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm fine. Who's this?
Barry.
Yes.
I'm just curious, how do you think the Red Sox are going to play in Shea Stadium? I don't think the bulk of them have ever played there. And, of course, in September, the Mets went up to Boston, played in Fenway.
Well, I can't answer that, obviously. I don't know how they're going to play. We're going to find out fast enough, aren't we?
Yeah, we'll see on Saturday.
Okay. I thank you.
Okay.
We're on WMCA, Gene.
Yes, Barry, go ahead.
What we're trying to do is take some phone calls. We're still having difficulty patching through, and I frankly don't know what the difficulty is.
Okay, why don't we try to take one of our Boston callers and see what happens?
Okay, in the meantime, our number here is 570-WMCA. Call us and see if we can patch you through to Boston.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Our number here is 266-6868 in Boston, and let's give it a try. Boston, good afternoon. You're on WRKO in Boston and WMCA in New York City.
Good afternoon, all the New Yorkers down here in Mets land. I want to say that the Mets really got a big break from the umpires because the Houston Astros were jobbed. We all saw some of those plays. Give us a break. The most overblown, overrated team in the history of baseball is the New York Mets. And if you believe the bookies when they're telling us that the Mets are favored with Dowling over Hurst, who's been the Red Sox best pitcher this past month, forget it.
Can you smooth out that comment a little bit that they were jobbed, the Houston Astros?
We saw the plays at first base. They should have won that game with Ryan pitching. And we know that if you take a look at the manager there, when they're pitching, for the Astros, he made some ridiculous decisions to let the Mets win some of those games. I'll tell you this: the Red Sox will defeat the Mets in 6 games, and we have to understand that there's going to be some rain delays in this series with New York and Boston. So Clemens may even pitch 3 games in this series if it should go 7, but it's going to go 6. And again, Gooden and Dowling and Ojeda, who was here with us, we know Ojeda. We're telling you, our pitchers, Boyd, Hurst, and Clemens, are invincible.
Okay, hold still for just a... By the way, you're going to put your money where your mouth is?
I'll bet against any team that's hitting 189 in the playoffs.
How much dough are we... What are we talking about, money or piggyback stuff?
We're talking about the Mets hitting 189 in the playoffs.
No, I want to talk about coin of the realm. How much you putting up?
Put up my Mercedes. What do you want?
Your Mercedes?
What do you want to bet?
Is that one of those toy jobs or one that really runs?
I'm telling you, the Mets are the most overrated hype team in the history of baseball. 108 games,
listen,
but they're not going to win 4 against the Red Sox.
If you got a Mercedes, I'll fly to Boston. I'll be there in 8 minutes without an airplane. Okay?
Oh, you telling me the Mets are going to win this series?
Hello, are you on line 1?
Yeah, Barry?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Bruce from Flushing.
Now, wait a second. Gene, can you hear this call?
Yes, I can. No problem. Let's get that New York call on the air. Boston, stay where you are. How about this? Let's get the New Yorker on the air.
Let me take it to the blowhard from Boston.
Okay, talk to the Boston guy. Go ahead, New York.
Okay, first of all, now I'm a Yankee.
I want to say a couple of words to the Blowhards in Boston. Go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, and I'm a Yankee fan, but let me tell you, the Mets are an excellent team. A great team finds a way to win.
Like with the help of the umpire.
The Green Bay Packers.
One at a time, gentlemen.
One at a time.
Listen, guys, you had your turn. Now it's New York's turn. Okay? Cool it. Chill out.
Go, New York. Go.
Okay. Now, a great team finds a way to win. Even though the Mets only hit below 200, they find a way to win. Then the Mets, for the guy in Boston, I'll put up $50 right now that the Mets beat the...
we can't take your bet on the air. That'll be in violation. But I'll tell you what, I've got an OTB parlor right downstairs, and maybe we can make arrange a marriage here.
Well, let me ask the guy from Boston, the host. Now, I think Boston...
Mr. Gene Burns.
Mr. Burns. I think Boston's going to have problems because then the American League pitchers, and I used to hitting, and you're going to have to lift the Clemens if you tie score, you run behind. And the Boston bullpen is what the Pirates are to our squads. I mean, they just cannot hold lead.
Well, New York caller, they designed some very simple new maps of the field. All the Boston pitchers were given them after the game last night to study so they'd know where first base was.
Tell me, were there maps in Braille?
No, but those large Crayola we used. And, wait, Boston caller.
Yes, I'd like to say something about that. You know, if you look...
Oh, you're the guy with the Mercedes.
That's right. You better believe it.
Okay.
If you don't get out of the way, the Red Sox bandwagon's going to run right
right over the Mets.
I think you can stab people with the point of your head.
Let me say this. If you look at the playoff composite box score between the Mets and the Houston Astros.
Okay, look, let me, Gene,
Yeah.
Gene, you take another call and I'll take another call. First I've got Gene Burns of WRKO in Boston on the line, and we're on WMCA in New York, and we're having a little discussion about the rivalry between the Mets of New York and the Boston Red Sox.
Okay, let's get a couple more callers on the line here.
You're next.
Okay, now, Revere, you're on the air with WRKO and WMCA.
How you doing, Gene?
Fine.
The Red Sox are going all the way this year, no problem. They were down 3-1 with one out left. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, the Red Sox are going all the way. Look out, Mets. We're ready.
How many games, Revere?
I say 6 games, no problem.
Why do
we
you-
have a better pitching staff. It doesn't matter about the pitchers hitting because no one hit. No, there wasn't one hit.
Gene, I'm surprised. I'm surprised so many people in Boston drink in the daytime.
I had some coffee. That's about it. Hey, but I'll tell you, the Mets are going to have trouble. They're overrated to begin with. Dow Strawberry can't hit lefties, and he bats third in the lineup. No problem. I don't see a problem at all. And
let me put a New York call on the line with you.
All right.
We're on WMCA and WRKO in Boston simultaneously, and we're talking baseball. And we go to the next call. You're on the line. Go ahead.
I think the problem that the Red Sox is going to have to contend with is that, okay, the first line team, they're evenly matched. But when you start to go to the bench and go to the bullpen, you have to give it to the Mets. And I say, definitely, the Mets going to take the Red Sox in 6.
In 6. Now,
Definitely.
Our caller in Boston says 6, but the Red Sox will take it. Boston Revere caller, tell the New York caller why you disagree with that.
We don't need a bullpen. We got Boyd, Clemens, Hurst. We got Schiraldi for the 8th and 9th inning.
How about the bench,
They can't take the fastball. They can't take the heat. Look at Mike Scott, Nolan Ryan.
Sure they can.
They had trouble. They were lucky.
All right. Okay. Fellas.
And they were lucky.
And the Mets survived it.
Fellas, Gene, you go through
the Boston Massacre, that's for sure.
Gene, you go through this every day?
It's all over. Richie Gedman's going to gun him down. He's got a better arm than Taz.
Gentlemen, hey, hold it.
Everybody,
back off. I think it's commercial time again.
Okay, thanks, Barry.
It's 12.
It's 12 in New York City. I'm Gene Burns in Boston. We're simulcasting on WRKO in Boston and WMCA in New York City with colleague Barry Gray. And we're talking with you. Join us as we talk.
Where's the excitement in your supermarket?
Tricia, well, it's beautiful. New York, our simulcast includes Mr. Gene Burns, who has a most popular program in Boston on WRKO there, and here in New York on WMCA. And we have on the line the Boston callers and the New York callers. Our number to get into the discussion of who is going to take the World Series, Mets versus Boston Red Sox, or vice versa, comes Saturday. That's when the series begins. First game at Shea. Our number, 570-570-WMCA. You're heard in New York and in Boston at the same time. Will wonders never cease? This portion of the line, our newsmaker line, is Mr. Gene Burns, who has the most popular program in Boston from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. daily, Monday through Friday on WRKO, and I'm in New York on WMCA. And we're exchanging Boston points of view and New York points of view about the upcoming World Series. Promises to be the most exciting event that's been held in generations. We're discussing it now. Our number is 570-WMCA. Gene?
Yes, Barry, we're here.
Did we sneak in a couple of New York commercials for you?
Oh, that's okay. We did well. We got the Boston commercials. We're all making money. It's wonderful. Really.
Okay. Let's take a Boston call and hear from your end of the line.
Okay, great. Linfield, good afternoon. You're on WRKO in Boston and WMCA in New York City.
Good afternoon, Gene and Barry.
Thank you.
As a former New Yorker, I find this series is going to be especially interesting. As a matter of fact, I'm late for the airport to pick up New York relatives who are arriving and who are equally excited about this matchup. And I also would like to say to Barry that part of the reason that I listen to talk radio is because of him.
Great.
I'm 37 years old, and when I was 15, I discovered Barry Gray in New York and started listening. And when I moved to Boston, it was just natural for me to continue to listen up here.
And now you're wise, and you listen to Gene Burns on WRKO.
I do, and he does increase my wisdom even when I don't agree with him.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay, we've got...
This is the operator.
Hello? Yes?
This is the operator. Your mother's at the airport trying to reach you. Would you please hang up?
A little human drama. Thank you.
And now, caller, thank you very much.
And now we're going to introduce a New York call.
Okay.
Go ahead. Hello, you're live on the line.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I want to say that Boston will be ripped apart in New York because we have the 10th player in the stands that will make Boston look like a cream pie that's gone bad. New York fans will tear Boston apart. There's no fan that likes the New York fan, and we'll be monsters up there. We'll be like a 400 hitter that'll be slugging away, and we'll just make them into cream puffs.
Yeah, I know that, but are they going to play baseball?
They sure are.
Hey, listen, New York caller, Gene Burns in Boston. Let me ask you a question now. You're going to be monsters in the stands, the 10th player on the team. Your team's a little tired after that 16-inning romp yesterday, no?
We relish playing when we're tired, we're up all the time. We're ready. We are ready. The shot is down, and that's whenever it is, the 6th game, the 5th game, whatever we...
You sound like you're...
See us storm the field, and that's
listen,
because we'll resod in March.
You sound like you're calling it from an empty garage. You better start parking the cars. Okay?
All right.
Gene, it's your turn.
Okay, let's get a Boston caller on the line here. Boston, good afternoon. You're on WRKO in Boston and WMCA in New York City.
Good afternoon, Mr. Burns.
How are you?
Oh, not too bad. I think you have to remember where your roots are.
What's that?
Oh, you're from the western part of New York State.
Well, I was raised there. That's correct.
But not everybody in Boston is crazy and going to root for the Red Sox. There's a few Mets fans around.
Are you a Mets fan in Boston?
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Oh, can remember driving down to Major Diggin and the Bronx and seeing the Yankee Stadium and the Polo Grounds.
You're a Met fan in Boston?
Yes, sir.
I want to tell you, you're going to be quite warm on Saturday wearing tar and feathers.
You have police protection. That's what we wanted. Are you going to get to any of the games, caller?
That's still in a holding pattern right now.
Okay.
Tickets are tough to come by.
By the way, that's one of the great scandals down here. Everybody is screaming about the fact that maybe 3,000 tickets were released for general admission, and there are tens of thousands of fans who support the team week after week, game after game, win, lose, or draw, and they're yelling, where are the seats?
Yeah, we're having the same problem. We got people lined up right as we speak at Fenway Park trying to get tickets.
By the way, tell me about the physical, what Fenway Park looks like physically.
Well, it is one of the great old ballparks in all of baseball, and it's a rather small ballpark.
When you say old, does that mean seedy?
No, not seedy at all. No, it has a great class to it. It only seats about 33,000 people. That's what makes it so different, and it's right in the middle of town. It sits right down in the middle of Boston, but it has a great deal of class. Fenway Park has that kind of old class that, like old money has, Barry.
What does the clubhouse look like?
You know, I'm not an expert on the clubhouse. I'll have to get somebody to tell me what the clubhouse looks like.
Okay.
Let's ask this before we lose this Boston caller. Boston, you're a Mets fan in Boston.
I work in Boston. I don't live here, but I work here.
Well, how many games? The Mets going to win, you're telling us, in how many games?
Well, unfortunately, the Shea Stadium got uprooted back on September 17th.
Yeah.
You mean when they ripped up the field?
Yes.
I've never understood that.
I don't understand why you got to take a piece of grass home. I mean,
neither do I. Well, what it means is you got worms in your living room.
Well, get a cat.
Yeah.
How many games, caller?
I say the Mets at home, which means it's going to go 6 or 7.
Caller, thank you very much for joining us.
Gene, when you say you're from Western New York, what does that mean?
Well, I was raised in Steuben County, New York, south of Rochester in the Finger Lakes area.
And how'd you get to Boston?
Hey, this is New York calling, but Boston is the class.
Yeah. Were you ever for the Mets?
Sometimes when they played some stupid team. Most of the time, I let them alone.
Yeah, well, you're the kind of fan they really need. I tell you, with you working for them, they really don't need any enemies. What?
Boston.
Okay. How come you're listening to the radio?
What radio?
Unbelievable.
Gene, I'll tell you, it's a tough buck.
It is a tough way to make a living when you stop and think about it.
Yeah, I could have been out selling sewing machines.
That's right. Let's get a caller on from across the river here, Barry, in Cambridge. Cambridge, good afternoon. You're on WRKO in Boston and WMCA in New York City.
Hello. First of all, hello, Barry in New York City. And
oh, you sound like you're in great shape. We didn't wake you, did we?
No. I've been sitting on the line. I almost fell asleep. I've been sitting on the line about a half hour waiting to get on. But I just wanted to say, first of all, congratulations to the New York Mets. I followed them this season. I'm a longtime baseball fan. Hello again, Gene. I've talked to you a couple times before.
Yeah.
And congratulations to the Red Sox. I'm, of course, pulling for the Red Sox. Tough two acts to follow, those playoffs. They were great. They drove me crazy. There's a lot I can say about both teams. My head tells me the Mets. My heart and my guts tell me the Red Sox. I mean, after do or die.
What does your money tell you? You're going to bet, aren't you?
Am I going to bet? Oh, I don't know. I might wager a small amount, but it's tough.
What's a small amount?
What?
What's a small amount? Are we talking to Malcolm Forbes or Jaime Schlemmy?
Probably the latter.
Yeah.
Caller, how many games?
It's got to go 7. It's so crazy. I was going to say.
I've got a New York call on the line as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say first. I believe it was the 1st of August against Montreal. I was down visiting a good friend in New York. We went over, saw Good, and both of us came back on the train up to Boston, where I live, and watched Clemens pitch. So I've seen them both. It's tough. I can see.
Okay.
I can see some edge that the Mets have the edge in the relief pitching. I'd say it's a draw in terms of the starters.
All right.
I think the Mets may have a slight edge in the fielding. I was so impressed with Ray Knight and Keith Hernandez.
You say the Sox in 7 games. There's a New York caller on the line. Let's see what that caller says.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
This is a caller from Massachusetts, believe it or not, calling on the New York line. That's to show you where
you are calling from Massachusetts.
That's right.
And you're calling the New York number?
That's right. That's to show you where my heart is, Barry.
We're big spenders here, Barry.
Well, those are the kind of tactics that are going to win for you.
No. I'm rooting for the Mets. The Mets in 4.
I see.
That's no way.
Right. Listen, we've got to pause because we have a commercial commitment. Gene Burns of WRKO in Boston and Barry Gray at WMCA in New York, and we continue in a moment.